Hi, it's Savannah O'Gwynn from Savannah Land 2. Today I'd like to share a start to finish video. I'm in need of lots of gifts for friends and family members who are having babies and growing families. And today I'll share some of my favorite gifts to give to newborns and their families. I love to give gifts. It's actually one of my love languages. So when someone tells me that they're pregnant, I love to make a couple of items. Now I usually give the new little one a little boo-boo bunny, which is just a simple little folding and stitching of a baby washcloth. And then I also give them a tag blanket. Now this one is very simple. It's the only one I had on hand. But I also make these from minky fabrics and silk fabrics. But my most favorite gift to give is a prayer journal. And I've mentioned this before on my blog, but I've added more to it and changed my idea of this journal. Now in the beginning I thought it would be a themed journal for babies, but I realized that the prayers in this journal are for every age of children and for the whole family. So now I make a family journal where the theme is appropriate for all ages. This journal includes 31 prayers for children. These prayers came from a flyer from our church and are similar to the books The Power of a Praying Wife, The Power of a Praying Husband. So if you want to check out those books, you can as well. Each prayer covers a subject, and then it has scripture that supports the prayer and subject. Now just recently I added 2 more sections of this journal. It has 10 discipline tips, and you might be wondering where I got these tips since I don't have kids. But I received these tips from Beth Simmons, who was a speaker at a conference I attended. And I also added song lyrics for parents to pray over their children. This one's for a son and then this one's for a daughter. And you can actually find these songs on iTunes, and I'll be attaching here a CD cover so that I can place the CD along with it. So now that I've explained what this journal is comprised of, I need to make one. Now I mentioned earlier that my journals are no longer baby themed. So today I'm just going to be using some scrap paper along with my Paper Smooches Pipsqueak and Spiritual Sampler sets. I'll be masking my sentiment to say prayers for our growing family. Now I also have an idea for the design of this journal on the front, and I'd like to use several Paper Smooches dies, including the ampersand, scalloped frame, and the notebook basic die. But we'll see how this turns out since I don't have a completed idea yet. Now since I want to share everything from start to finish, I'll be speeding up my video from here. Please leave a comment below with a link to any of your creations or projects, or a link up to the Inspired by Virtual Smooches post. Maybe you will be our next featured fan. Plus, I'd love to check out your project. Thanks so much for watching. So I start by creating my cover, and I don't really measure it. I just use the inside papers as a guide. And then I'm going to fold it in half using my scoring tool. You might notice that the lights look like they go dim here, and it's because of the natural light outside. The clouds were out and about today, so. Now I'm going to check to make sure that my cover fits the inside papers, and I notice I need to trim off a little bit. And now that I'm happy with the way it looks, I'm going to attach my papers to the cover. And I usually use a sewing machine, but recently I found that that doesn't really work as well as I thought it did. And I wish I had a pivoting stapler, but I don't. So I just use a regular stapler, and I'm showing you here that all you have to do is place it. Open up your stapler first, actually, and then place it on the crease and then staple. But you have to do it on a floor or a pillow, and that's what I did. And now I just have to use a bone folder and fold in the staples on the inside. It works really well, and I like the finishing touch a lot better than my stitching. So now I just fold the edge, and now I can start working on the front cover design. Now here I decide that I want to use the notebook basic die, And I actually am going to extend it a little bit, so I cut a bigger piece of paper, and you can click on my link up top for my original video on how to extend dies, but I did it a different way. Instead of placing the entire plate over the die, I just move it up a little bit so it doesn't cut the whole thing. And yeah, I moved my mat while I was videoing, didn't notice it. Classic. So you can see that it didn't die cut all the way down, and now I'm just going to move the die a bit more down and place the top plate just over the part that I want to cut. And now you'll see that it's been extended. It's a much easier way to extend your dies, but you can definitely click that link. Now I'm going to die cut some scallops. I thought that it would look really cool underneath the notebook die. So I tape it down, and I didn't realize I had taped it down backwards. So another problem with this. Now I'm just measuring it to make sure that I have exactly the length that I want, but I notice that I don't really like that note die. I don't like the rounded corners, so I take them off and I cut it to be straight. And I end up really liking that, so now I can attach it to my notebook die. I'm going to ruffle the edges. Now I'm going to die cut the ampersand. I thought that would be really cute on the front of the journal because the family keeps growing and it's another child and another child, so, and ands are really in anyway, so I thought that would be super cute. Now I'm just messing around. Well, actually I'm going to stamp it with the stamp coordinating stamp just to make it pop a bit more. And I punch a hole in it because I really wanted to tie it onto the notebook die. But as I'm working with it, I realize that it's missing a background design. And I have to think about it, and I'm not sure how I'm going to help this. But I look at the colors in the plaid and I realize there's a dark brown, so I punch out a circle and then I attach it using 3 strands of some twine. And I think that looks really cute. Appropriate for anybody, actually. Not just a baby, so that's good. And I decided to tape down the notebook die and piece because I'm going to stamp and die cut the sediment using an oval. But I start working with the sediment first, and I'm going to mask it, and it's going to say prayers for our growing family. And I use several different stamp sets for this. And I decide that the cream does look okay, and I think it'll look fine. And I'm masking down at the bottom. You can't really see it because I'm using clear tape, but you can click on the link above for my original video on how to mask sediments and stretch your stamp sets.
And I absolutely love masking. It's just this time around it just, whew, you'll see later, it did not work out. I think I did it 4 or 5 times before I ended up realizing that I needed to do something different. But masking is a great way to stretch your stamps and get custom sentiments for your projects. And now I'm just adding ing to grow. So I'm almost finished with the sentiment. Again, the sun went down, so I had to move my stuff so I could see it. And now I finish with the word family. And then I pull it over, and I really like how it looks. And I'm going to use this medium size oval to die cut it. And then I realized that well, I didn't realize at first, but I was working and my camera just started to ding at me and I didn't understand what was happening, and I kept working. And so you missed all of my next step, which was I decided to stamp on the die cut notebook piece instead. I just thought the oval didn't look right, so I stamped and embossed on this notebook die, and I didn't realize that the camera ran out of space, so I'm sorry that you missed that, but here's what it looks like when it's finished. And I decided that I didn't learn my lesson of taping down things before stapling, and I wanted to staple my one word down, and then I add more tape to finish up the front of the cover. And now I'm going to work on the CD. Again, nothing fancy on this measurement. I just make some marks and then I score some lines so that I can fold up 3 of the sides to create an envelope for the CD in the back. And the way I make it work so it's not so tight is I put some 3-dimensional foam on there, and it's about a medium-sized foam, so it's not too thick, but it's not too thin as well. It's a really great size. I believe that's by Scotch. Just some regular old foam tape. So I add it to the back, insert the CD to make sure it's working, and then my camera starts dinging again. This time I realized there was no space, so I had to quickly download the images and start all over again. And so here is my cover and some of the pages inside, and there's the CD. And one thing I do like to do is highlight each of the subjects for the prayers so that it is easy to read for the parents in case they have their child with them or they're doing it at night when they're feeding the little one. And that's how I create my prayer journals for families. Now the best part of this journal is that you can insert anything on the inside for your pages. You can add graph paper if you want to make a custom sketch journal, or you can add lined papers or blank pages for notes. I do hope you will create a custom journal using some of the techniques and designs that I've shared today. Please email me if you would like to receive a PDF of the prayers for families. And don't forget to link up your creation to the Inspired by Virtual Smooches post. Maybe you will be our next featured fan. Plus, I'd love to check out your project. Thanks so much for watching.